Joining us now is White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. Karine, good morning to you. It's great to have you. So let's start right there with Secretary Blinken now on his fourth trip to the Middle East since the start of the conflict. What message is he bringing to our allies in the region as many have called for a ceasefire and amid the growing fears of the war expanding?
So, Whit, thank you so much for having me. Happy Saturday morning. Look, the president and the secretary have been very clear about this since October 7th to make sure that we do everything that we can to make sure that we show support for Israel. Let's not forget what happened on October 7th. It was a terrorist organization, Hamas, that attacked Israel. And so we want to continue to show that support. Obviously, we want to make sure that as they are protecting themselves, that they are also making sure that they're protecting innocent civilian lives. So the secretary is there for a fourth trip in the region. He's also going to meet with some of our European allies to offer our support, also make sure that we're getting these hostages home, continuing to do that. American hostage is always a priority for the secretary and the president. And we have to get that critical humanitarian aid into Gaza. And so we want to increase that aid. We're going to have those diplomatic conversations. As your correspondent was talking about, we do not want this war to expand, to go beyond. And so that is something that we want to make sure in those diplomatic conversations that doesn't happen. And so this is an important trip, a fourth trip for the secretary. And as I've stated at the top, the president and the secretary and many others in his administration has been working around the clock on those particular issues that I just laid out.
I want to come back here to the U.S. because Congress is back in session next week in just a couple of days here. And some Republicans are again threatening to shut down the government over immigration. We know negotiations are happening behind the scenes, but how confident is the White House that a deal on border security can be reached in time?
So wait, let me just say this very, very quickly. Almost 3 years ago, the president, when he walked into this administration, he put forth a comprehensive border immigration legislation to deal with this issue. And if Republicans, especially in the House, had taken that seriously, we would not be where we are today. So back in December, we started to have these conversations with the Senate, Republicans and Democrats, to figure out how do we come up with a bipartisan agreement to deal with the border. And what House Republicans decided to do, they decided to go home in mid-December, and what they've been doing is continuing to politicize this issue. We should not be politicizing this issue. And let's not forget, the president has asked over and over again for more resources to deal with this issue. They voted back in May to cut Border Patrol agents at the border by 2,000. And so that's what they're doing. They're politicizing this issue. The president wants to work to make sure we have a bipartisan agreement. That's what we're doing with the Senate, with Republicans and Democrats. And it's too bad that House Republicans continue to politicize this.
But it's not just Republicans. There are some Democrats as well. President Biden also facing criticism over his handling of the border crisis from Democratic mayors in big cities like New York City and Chicago. On Monday, we know Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas is going to the border. But is it time for President Biden to make a visit himself to address these issues?
The president was there last year. He went to El Paso last year. I went with him and he visited the border. So he has done that. But he wants to put forward solutions. That's what the president wants. And as we talk about these cities across the country that are dealing with influx of migrants, we have provided $1 billion to those cities, to those jurisdictions, so that they can have extra resources to deal with what they're dealing with right now with the increased influx of migrants. We want to do more. We want to do more, but we have to have Congress to work with us to do that. Look, again, there's this negotiation, a bipartisan negotiation happening in the Senate, again, with both Republicans and Democrats. That's a good thing. We've been having those negotiations through the holiday. And if House Republicans actually cared about this issue, they wouldn't have gone home in mid-December. They're not coming back until next week.
Many hoping that bipartisan deal can be reached in the coming weeks. Karine Jean-Pierre, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much, Whit. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.